Well, with Black Friday and Cyber Monday just about here, there's a lot of gaming deals going around right now. And I thought, let me take a look around and see what I can find. And one did catch my eye as it started to make the rounds on places like Twitter, as it had to do with brand new 3DS games. Yeah, I had a hard time believing that myself, but then people were mentioning that this is a reputable place to buy games from, and they had some of the stuff on sale. So I went over to Video Games Plus, and I was just kind of scrolling through their games, checking things out, and I mean, they have a pretty good selection of 3DS titles, as I am still looking into 3DS games in general to kind of build up a collection that is becoming increasingly expensive because Nintendo decided to shut down the store for whatever reason, right? So I did order some games. They just showed up, and I figured we'd have some fun, just kind of unbox and see exactly what showed up here. And I also threw in a couple of extra games, some things not necessarily just from the 3DS. I went ahead and picked up a couple of other brand new retro games. So take a look at that here today. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we're going to start today with this video's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Tap into the largest online learning community for creatives with a learn-by-doing approach to teaching with Skillshare. Learn at your own pace with on-demand classes covering a wide range of topics, including graphic design, photography, creative writing, music production, and more. Classes in freelancing, entrepreneurship, and marketing can help you level up your career or start a new venture on the side. I've been really interested in learning more about 3D modeling and object design for things like 3D printing, and using Skillshare, I've been able to take my time learning the basics, working my way up to more advanced designs. Whether you want to learn crafting and art or starting a business, Skillshare has the wide range of classes to take you from beginner to pro alongside a supportive community. The first 500 people to use my link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so check it out and start your journey today. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. All right, so while I do have new 3DS games in here, I did pick a game from 2 other systems. I picked, you can see down here, a PS3 game, and then I also picked a PlayStation 1 game. Mostly you hear, okay, brand new games, retro games, how are they gonna turn out? Like, how are they actually gonna show up? And so far from what I'm seeing here, I'm pretty happy, at least from the top one here with how it's looking. This is the, you can see VGP, this is their 30th anniversary. They've been around for a while. So once I saw it getting passed around online, like the Black Friday sales that they were running, which started early, I guess, but these games were marked down. So they were knocked down like 20, 30% in some cases. I don't know if they're going to be running that sale again as they get more stock in, because what happens is they seem to get stock for these different 3DS, PS1, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2 games, and then just as they sell out, that's kind of it, right? And then you got to wait and see if they get more in. So it's going to be something you just have to check and keep up with pretty consistently to get certain ones. Now, I did pick 3DS games mostly because this is a collection that I really wish I had done more with just throughout its life. I feel like I didn't take it as seriously, like collecting for it. And looking back on it now, I wish I had just gone out, gotten a lot of the newer titles as they released. This is Shin Megami Tensei 4. Let's see, this one's sealed. It doesn't look like it's necessarily resealed, although I'm gonna play these anyway, so I'll open one of them here while we're going through them. Metroid Samus Returns, which I do have this game, but I actually wanted to get it sealed, and I threw this one in because I think I got to a certain point, and then I got free shipping on it, and this was pretty cheap. It's not like this is necessarily hard to find or anything, but I did like Metroid Samus Returns quite a bit, so I figured, we'll get it sealed. This one I will actually leave sealed, though, because I already technically have the cartridge opened up. But this one I didn't have, and I really like Tales of Abyss, but I remember playing this way back in the day, and I think I traded it in, or I don't know, something happened to it, but I loved this game on the PS2, and I remember when they announced it for the 3DS, I thought this is one of those times where you get that game that you have a harder time realizing, okay, this is a handheld game now, but I think it's just because of the PS2 generation where I played this. It felt like a really big game that was then being shrunken down and put on a portable system. I just thought that was awesome. And then Castlevania Mirror of Fate. This is a Castlevania game I have not played, actually, but people have told me about it, so I figured, why not? I'll pick it up while I'm try and apparently just get different 3DS games. Well, I know I'm going to play Tales of Abyss, so let's pop this one open. And there we go. It's weird, right, to see a manual here on the. This is how it used to be, I promise. You get your game and your manual. It looks about what I expect for a brand new sealed game, you know, new, in good shape. But it is really funny to think that it's such a surprising thing now to see a manual. And I mean, this one looks nice. I mean, it's fully colored on the front and back. Inside, they just have it as black and white. But it's so funny because for the longest time, decades, you expected to have an instruction manual inside, and now people just don't even really, I mean, people are buying less and less in terms of physical copies, so never mind just the manual at all. But it is sort of funny that we're to the point where it's just kind of a lost art to have a really good manual that comes with your game. I'm going to check out Shin Megami Tensei 4 as well. This one was already kind of like peeling open a little bit on this side, but let's pop that one open. And this is where they didn't necessarily have the manual like included here. It was actually like on the cartridge. So yeah, not even the 3DS games were safe. They were eliminating manuals throughout this generation the whole way. So I mentioned I had a PS1 game and I also had a PS3 game. Now I got Jak and Daxter Collection. I didn't have this in my PS3 collection, and I specifically picked it up because it is a 3D compatible game. And I do have the PlayStation TV. I've been meaning to get around to doing a video on it, but as I was kind of working up to that, I was just picking up different games that had the 3D compatible tag on it. And how can you go wrong with the collection of Jak 1, 2, and 3? And this is definitely not one of the standard PlayStation 3 cases. I guess as they did reprints, they sort of changed them up a bit. Even like the spindle here where you push down, it feels cheaper, I guess. I don't know, it's kind of strange. I do like the reverse cover art though here with Jak 1, 2, 3 kind of in this line in chronological order. But yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out, and I'm curious how this looks on the 3D TV. Sometimes you get a game on there and it's actually pretty impressive. Other times, I'll admit the 3D effect does not hit well. And then finally, a brand new copy of Final Fantasy IX on the PS1. This is actually not a new thing necessarily in the past couple of years. I've seen these pop up on places like Amazon or eBay or even Square's own store, but they do sell out pretty quick. And it's funny because these are reprints that have happened, and I mean, even like the shrink wrap isn't great. You can see kind of the seal here. It's very basic stuff that people might be doing with like a heat gun or something in the factory. There we go. And here's the funny thing. They just put them on CDs now. So remember we had the CDs back then that were just all black bottom, so they had like the dye and it was to give it a distinct look. And they just threw that out the window for these reprints. These are legitimately just on basic CDs that they set up and designed so that they do work with the PS1, so you can put this in your PS1, your PS2, your PS3, and it'll work fine. And they still stick with, of course, the greatest hits, although this looks more lime green, I feel like, than the classic one. I guess that could have just faded over time, but it'll still have the manual, which is, again, really cool to see that they didn't just throw the manual out, because obviously they could have done that. But I don't know, it's still pretty cool to be able to get a brand new copy of Final Fantasy IX. I feel like I've seen 8 pop up in their store as well, but 9 is very, very common alongside of one of the collections. It might have been Origins. And typically this isn't very expensive, and I know you can get this digitally pretty cheap now on different sales, but a lot of times you can find this for like $15 or so on sale. Sometimes on Amazon, when a batch of them pops up, they'll even be prime shipped and they'll show up the next day. But overall, for the 3DS games, Shin Megami Tensei 4, Tales of the Abyss, Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate, and then Metroid Samus Returns. So at least from what I experienced here, I can recommend Video Games Plus, I guess, as they have things in stock. Shipping wasn't bad either, just a couple of days really, maybe a week at most, depending on where you're located if you're in the US. And I think for the most part, 3DS and GameCube are going to be like my main pushes currently. I need to do some more videos on the GameCube collection, as I have been quietly accumulating more titles in the background. But 3DS, it feels like a generation that I wish I had collected more for while it was ongoing, and it's hindsight, right? You see what's going on now with the shop being completely erased, basically, and you're like, wow, everything's just going to get more expensive as we go. And you know what? There are some legitimately good titles on that system. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. If you maybe picked some stuff up from Video Game Plus during the sales that they were running, which I think are still going, but a lot of the stuff is going out of stock at this time. And hey, if there's any other places that have new retro games, let me know. Maybe I'll check them out. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.